License transfer.
Good morning, this is a call to order for the July 2nd Commissioners meeting. Would you please lead some prayer?
Lord, we once again come before your throne this morning. We humble ourselves, recognizing a deep need that we have for wisdom, and knowledge, and understanding as we look at the business of what we have to do. So, Lord, these county commissioners have been selected, Lord, from out of the people to make decisions, good decisions on behalf of the county and the constituents. So I pray for them today as they go through the agenda that they would hear your voice clearly as they discuss things. And that, Lord God, all of it in the end would be a blessing to the county and the people of it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, born and unborn. Morning, man. Good morning, Weston.
Bless morning, Christians. What's that? Are there any additions and changes to the agenda?
So I'd like to pull the airport board appointment and put it along with the 10:30. I need to add the treasurer's report. Susie did get that done to the consent agenda. And then Commissioner Wagner wanted to let you guys know that he won't be able to make it today because he's in Cheyenne at the governor's office.
I would like to pull the minutes of June 18th, 2024 for discussion of the consent agenda and add to new business consulting.
Are there any other additions or changes to the agenda? Go ahead.
I'm not sure if it would be old business or new business. But I guess put it in new business, discussing the courts possibly using this room, and
We have that on.
do you want to just
It's on.
It's under-
discuss that with that?
It's under
Okay.
10 o'clock.
Okay. Never mind then.
Any other additions or changes? Can I have a motion?
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
I have a motion that's been properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Moving on to the consent agenda. We're pulling the minutes. You said you want to move the board appointments to 10:30?
Just the airport board.
Just the airport board? So can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion?
Which minutes, Garrett, the second meeting or the official minutes of the regular business?
Minutes of June 18th, 2024 for discussion before we approve.
Not the second one, not the
Not the special.
No.
The regular meeting.
Yep.
And I think one Michael needs yours.
Which one?
I'll have to look, yes.
Public health?
I already signed it.
Oh, okay.
I'll catch it up to you. I'll bring it to you.
You told me I was like, oh, you're like 9. So I didn't figure it out. I got much more familiar with website as far as it is. Oh, yeah.
That was good to see you. Right before you.
Got a new chair.
Oh, yeah.
But the old judge's chair.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
I
go
don't
up.
think I was tall enough for
Yeah.
Judge Bush.
These things become judges. They all become their own judges in their own courts.
I'll trade you.
I'll sit on the floor.
Oh, it's huge. I had to take a hike, I didn't drill. I'm gonna drill all that. Dig hole. It's just in the drill hole. We're gonna file to dismiss my It's just the official.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He says.
Oh, that's right.
They're just like, their eyes are just moving around. Yeah. Yeah, it's in your second. I was really in the free time, so I thought we were doing meetings and stuff. Looking over the INC set up for anybody want to go to the motorcycle. Yeah, we could do that one. I also wanted to get in, but I said, well, I'm not that big of a motorcycle fan. I don't know what to do. I said, well, I'll get back to it. Yeah. I always thought, but then the new movie that's coming out. Yeah. And then sure that, I'm signing, I haven't signed it yet because they haven't signed it out, but I'm gonna go with that. So you need to Friday. Now I'm gonna go visit some of my relatives on the way. Yes, and that's working. We start for this Monday. I'll start. Oh, yeah. Who's going? Oh, but is that who you were sitting?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know who that was. Oh, okay. I did not know that was who. I never had met her. It'd be nice, well, now that I see her there, I meet her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I put everything signed. I think I did, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. And I think Thursday is when Trump comes. That's gonna be a while. You watch it, folks. She might get some of those blue states to get for a while, but she didn't know way to get the nomination.
That's, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't even have seen.
And so she's she's changed. Yeah.
She just found one person and I could see her as president.
Yeah.
Because that's how I check.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's you.
I don't think Tim Scott would be too bad either. You know, the guy from North Carolina.
Tim or, Byron. Yeah, Byron.
You know, I really like Ben Carson, but he ain't running. But he, you know, I felt like,
He's great. I think it's about the president.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, he's a great vice president because he's so supportive and he's smarter than I would.
Yeah.
I know you're looking for somebody who will step into the chair and receive him. So he's not even in the running.
Yeah. I mean, about 4 years on the train, just went out of
Yeah.
That's true. And he survived.
Oh, yeah, you could be president. Yeah. Little mentoring. So we'll see who, they'll be up there, I guess, that day when he finally announces it. He's supposed to announce it.
What's that?
They're preparing public comment.
Oh, yeah. I was just getting ready. No, we didn't call anybody. The elevator's down, we were asking them if there's any statute that says we have to close, because Becky said she.
I had people complaining because it's only handicap accessible. And I said that by statute we had to be closed, and I was like, what is it?
That doesn't sound like to me.
So we all came up with a solution, put a ladder up the window there, we shut the front.
Run back and forth, anybody that can't get up there.
I was gonna say, we could.
So yesterday, the ballots came for the election, the UPS guy had to pull him up, he was sweating so bad. I said, oh yeah, the elevator's broke, huh? I said, I'm so sorry. He was French.
Can we just go sign the accommodation? People could go up and down the steps with any forms or any necessary transactions.
I don't know if we wanna do that, 'cause I don't know how we would, I mean, there's nothing that we can do.
If there's no court today.
Tomorrow there is, that's what the
That's
issue
what they were
is.
worried about.
Tomorrow.
They're supposedly coming today to fix it.
He's still working on
You can go ahead.
it. There's a bunch
I'm
of
almost
them.
done.
Okay. So we should,
Might as well keep on the agenda.
There's a bunch of it.
so is there any public comment? Go ahead.
Yes. I do.
Mike Stolpen, County Attorney. I want to introduce you guys to Stephanie Martinez. She will be in my office now as a victim witness coordinator. I'm excited to have her. I think her experience and knowledge, and all that is a very good asset to the county and what she's been charged to do. She started her trainings yesterday. She didn't run screaming from my office yet. We're about 9 business hours in, so that's a positive. I don't know if you have anything. Stephanie, the Board of Commissioners.
I think I know all of you.
Welcome aboard.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So if you have any questions, let me know. I think we got all the money side figured out so far, Becky, and I hope. So she'll be running around up here and just see your face.
Let us know if we can do anything to help.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Stephanie, what exactly is your role then as this advocate? That's what you said, right, an advocate? A witness coordinator?
Victim witness coordinator. She helps make sure the victims are notified of what's going on with their cases, provides support to them in various respects, helps us. This is just sort of an overview, right? It's not everything she does. Helps us with trials and the victims and getting them through those. Helps arrange the witnesses so they're properly where they're supposed to be. And support. And she can be the sort of more like the emotional side
Okay.
rather than the technical.
Yeah.
And she helps if there's a victim that needs a place to stay. She gets them a place to stay away from the
Okay. Situation.
victim,
Okay. Cool.
from the home.
Great. That's what we need.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank
Welcome
you.
aboard.
Thank you, Stephanie. Excited about that.
Next.
Morning, Jim.
So I assume you guys got the email, I fired a flight out about placing an open traffic signs in there right away, and they shot me down on it. They felt they were kind of misleading, I guess, at best, so we didn't want responsibility for that. So we did get signs up though, they're just on our roads, so it won't keep them from turning in there, but hopefully they can get around and get out, so. Supposedly they have finally gotten that removed from Google Maps. Been working with them, they claim to have that done finally, so. We did get a section of the asphalt cut out there, gravel on it, turned out really good. Took a lot more rock than I thought, there were some soft spots in it, but it turned out really nice. We've been, done some spot graveling for our CMAP projects. Fisher Sand and Gravel, they ended up donating about $14,000 worth of gravel for that road out by the lake, so that helped us a bunch. Hopefully next week we're gonna start tearing that bridge or underpass, whatever you wanna call it, out up there. Russell Davis is one big report, we're gonna culvert in there. Brian is giving us 4 of their used pickups, he got some new ones. The landfill district would like one of our old ones and one of his used ones. I wanted to run it by you guys, see if that was okay with you.
The landfill wants one.
It's be the new county landfill, yeah, they
Right.
want one of them that Brian's given to us, and then another one that we've been using, because they want one with a fuel tank in it.
So you'd end up with 3 of the 4, and then landfill would end
yeah,
up with
let's see.
1.
Yeah, but 2 of them Brian still has, so I'll see what kind of shape they're in. And one that I was gonna send down there, it's got 2,000 miles on it, so we're not really getting it anymore. I don't need to run that down you guys and see if that's okay with you to pass them on to them.
I mean, have they been checked out and maintenance, or will they get maintenance, or how does that work once
I-
he gives them over to
No,
you?
that'll be up to them. Once they're theirs, they're theirs.
Correct. Okay. What's the pleasure of the board? I don't have an issue with it.
I was gonna see maybe if we could hit them up for some free ducking privileges as a trade-off.
Maybe.
Good idea.
Do we want to do that, or what are we going to do? Is it okay, or do we have any issues with me? I don't think there's any. Mallow's truck's pretty good, right?
It should be, yeah.
I haven't seen any issues. Is there anywhere else that needs trucks?
Eric once went over to the fairgrounds, but he thought maybe he'd take one of our other old ones.
Assessor's office, you need something someday.
They need something like
Pretty
probably
reliable.
newer. And you may have to just break down and buy them and go, maybe go or look into a grant for them. Or Ken.
We talked to the foreman on the job on Overpass this morning. It sounds like they're gonna be willing to give us a lot of that old guardrail off of there, so that's the kind of thing that's usually we'd be willing to let us have, so.
That's good.
Other than that, unless we get some moisture, up there, we'll shut our blades down. And so what we're gonna do is make dust and fires on the water truck. We did get our shoulder disc, so we've got it put together. And hopefully we'll get it out and got it out, see what it's gonna do for us.
You haven't tried it out yet?
Just in the yard.
Oh, okay.
I wanna get it out on the road and see. I think it's gonna look pretty good for us. Guess that's what I've done.
So do we need to make a motion for those trucks, or what do we need to do there? To get them transferred to whoever we need to go to? Or just give him the okay at his discretion?
I think so.
When I say we let come up with insurance, I mean,
Yep. Once you do it, just let us know.
Okay.
Because we'll have to sign the title over to the solid waste as well. Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, James. Yep.
Thank
you,
you.
Jerry.
So you guys never made a motion to be discussed?
Yeah.
No.
Yep, okay.
Can we go back to that?
Yep,
Mhm.
please.
Under the minutes of June 18th, 2024, under the approval of consent agenda, I was mentioned as the motion maker and the seconder. Seconded by myself.
Oh, I will definitely look into that and get that changed. Welcome.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Point of order, maybe?
What's that?
Wouldn't that make that motion valid? Just saying.
No, it was wrong. He didn't second it. I just
Oh, okay,
wrote it
all right.
wrong.
Sorry, I didn't mean funny.
Hey Becky, when we authorize a department to buy a vehicle, I'm going back to, are you done with the minutes? When we authorize a department to buy a vehicle, it's been technically a part of that department, right? And logged through that department and kept,
No, the titles are all in Weston County.
so then why are you having a
Weston
title?
County vehicles.
That's where you got me confused, and why are you doing a title?
The titles are under Weston County.
Did you say-
When it goes to the solid waste,
Oh,
it will
that's,
not
okay,
say.
that's not necessary.
It was just those two.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There still needs to be a motion on these. They were never approved.
Make a motion to approve the minutes. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Can you find out who it was real quick and fix it, and then we can do a motion?
It's on that recorder. I'll double check. I mean, I'll change it and I can let you guys know before, just call and tell you. I mean, can't send out an email to y'all.
What do you think?
Do you have your written notes somewhere?
No, I don't keep my written notes.
It's probably better just to get it today, isn't it?
Why don't we put it on, can we postpone it till the end of the meeting?
Table to the end of the meeting?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
you have a chance after while we're doing vouchers, maybe to, now you're gonna have that on.
I mean, I can stop and then, yeah, I can stop on.
We can do a recess.
Two-part for the recording. Okay. Only one that gets the recording is Walter. And he probably won't get it this time.
So a follow-up question on the pickup. So if it's leaving county hands, going to the Weston County Solid Waste District, right? That's money leaving, or an asset leaving the county. Maybe that should be in the motion? I mean, I don't know, but just so
It
it's,
just comes off of our asset list.
I know, but I was wondering if it should be logged or.
I think on the safe side, we should make a motion to do that if it's leaving the county. And are we just giving it to the? That's the other thing.
Sounded that way, I mean,
Well, he was gonna ask him if he could trade for
for,
free dump,
yeah.
which is pretty costly.
so.
That should be written after.
Yeah. I think if we do it in the motion, then it's at least logged in the minutes and might be cleaner, I don't know, that it would ever come back to haunt us, but at least then
It's a good thought.
Is that some information that we might need if we put that, table that also to the next meeting and get an agreement on maybe what number of dumps, or if they're all free or something like that, at least that might be a little bit more clear before we.
Let's
That'd
take
be a
a
good idea.
We should have given it in writing, right? So, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
We're gonna
And
wait.
then,
We'll have to wait.
I meant, while you guys are doing that, I'll go and watch Walter's. I think you.
All for yeah.
Because his, he had Garrett record it. And then I can tell you while you guys are doing that, that way I don't have to stop our recording.
Roger.
So I'll just make a motion to table both issues too. Well,
Okay.
the one until the next meeting, the pickup, and then the. We'll just
Minutes.
postpone the
Till
minutes
the
to
end.
then.
Okay. So we have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion that's been properly seconded to table the minutes until the end of the meeting and to table the discussion on trucks and, or at least the solid waste truck until the next meeting. Any discussion?
Are we making one motion for both of those?
I will pick up the recording from you then
All those in
tomorrow.
favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Come on up, Roger.
Morning.
Morning.
Well, I haven't been here for a while, I just last month.
Yeah, last one was like bad weather, wasn't it?
Schedules got. But we've had quite a bit happen since the last time I talked to you.
Did you
Building
state-
actually has.
Did you state your name for the
What's
meeting?
that?
State your name for the meeting, please. For the-
Oh.
Yeah.
Roger Connect, Rare Element Resources. We actually have quite a bit of things moved into the building now. Our crusher is in place and installed, ready to go. And that building, that big building where we're gonna store things, bagged product is all cleared out except for the crusher. The area where we had all the tanks is covered, that's covered now.
That area is pretty much done, the plumbing and everything's done on that. We've got 6 skids in the building now, including the acid recovery system, which is a big system. And we've got 1 skid that's there sitting outside the building. We have 6 more en route, so they'll all be going in really soon. The major part of the work right now is electrical and plumbing, because there's a lot of work hooking those skids up that are full of all those components. The big glass tubes that are part of the process will be start installing those next Monday. So pretty much everything is on track. We're still going to be finished late July, early August. We'll be processing in early fall, September is the plan. We have a new office, good new office building, and a new security building that are there and be set in place next week. The office building's pretty good size. And the security, you'll have to come in. When you come in, you'll come into the security building and decide whether you get to go any further after that. But it'll get, once we start production, it'll get a lot, access will be a lot tighter. We had the governor's visit. I think you all knew about that. The governor and his entourage were there. Our budget, we've gone back to the Department of Energy. Per our agreement for inflation, we can go back and get that additional, recover that additional money because of the government delay in the permitting and because of inflation costs, that sort of thing. So we've made our presentation to them on that. So this is a $44 million project, and it's now probably going to be 53, about 21%, which oddly enough is about the rate of inflation these days. So we met with the Forest Service last week, and they confirmed to us that our EIS is, the basic EIS is still good. We just have to update that, which is seems to be a lot more properties than they were 6-7 years ago. So and as you've all heard, China's tightening everything up, and so that's, you know, it's we're our project is in the mode of we're getting ready to actually process. You know, there's a lot of other rare earth projects out there, but they're all basically in a startup phase. And you know, we're 2 separate things. We have the mine, and then we have our processing. And our processing is, you know, when the main plant is built, we'll be capable of processing much more than we're going to produce. And that's the idea, because right now, as you know, and we've talked about, China controls processing 100%. So they have the world. So it'll be a big deal when we start our processing. So, and the Department of Defense is now talking to us, which we've been talking to the Department of Energy for quite a while. We've got a tour July 16th with Wyoming Energy Group and the Department of Energy. It's going to be a big deal.
What time is that going to be?
And they'll have a lot. So that's basically where we're at.
Roger, question, you said you got the acid system in there? You were talking about the acid.
The what?
The acid system,
Yeah,
the acid in there is
recovery.
recovery system. Okay, so my question is are you have a safety person on site all the time? Do you
We
have,
always have.
that's what I was wondering, for containment and MSDS and all that is taken care of for those?
We
things?
have an environmental guy there now, even though we're not, it's just for the construction phase. There's no acid or anything on site, but everything is a closed system.
Oh, okay.
There's, once it goes, the acid is used in the process, which you know. Once it goes through that, the acid goes into a recovery system. And it's refined and recovered from there. And it goes back, circulates back to the tanks for reuse. We believe we will lose about 2% during the process. And then when we do our acid recovery, then the byproduct that's there will be put in containers, which is not really, surprisingly, not very much. And then that actually gets shipped away and disposed of in a processing facility to do that. And none of that stays in Wyoming, but no, it's a closed system. There's nothing, that acid is never exposed.
Are there multiple rare earth element plants in Wyoming, or you said in the production phases or the early?
Plants?
Or what would you call it? It's a production, right?
There are no plants in the U.S.
Okay, so this is going to be number
This
one.
is it.
Okay.
So,
I
which
was,
is why we're getting more and more interest. So.
Is it like an ion exchange system? Is that what it is? Is it going on resin beads?
It's completely different than anything that's out there. And we don't talk about specifics, but we use a lot of centrifuges and things like that, so. In fact, I've been told don't talk
What
about
do you know about the tax structure of any products produced? Do you know anything? I mean, who's gonna see the benefit tax-wise of this? Is it gonna be Crook County? Is it gonna be Weston County? Is it shared mutually? Is it tax exempt? Do you know anything?
Well, I mean, we're all gonna see benefits.
Well, I know there's gonna be ancillary benefits.
Weston County will see benefits much quicker than Crook County, because Crook County won't really see any benefits till we open the barn. And then severance will be collected in Crook County, but it doesn't matter because they go to the state and then national, and then they come back and they're split up between everybody. We will benefit Weston County sooner is going to be the employment. We're going to have about 20 people in the plant, this plant. The big plant will be much more, but this plant will employ about 20 people. And we have our project manager, our plant manager is on site. And then we're gonna have a contract, we're gonna contract the actual labor. So that'll be somebody, we're talking to several different ones, and they're gonna be looking for local help.
But the final product will probably be shipped out of state, right? So it's,
The final product will be shipped out of
Okay.
state because you have to ship it to some place that
processed
Can
even
actually-
further.
make magnets and that sort of thing, which is the big thing. Our long-range plans calls for us to build a plant to do that in Upton. So we'll see how
That would be
that works out.
super.
But
Roger, are the employees gonna need some type of security clearance to work there? Are they gonna need some type of security clearance to work there?
Absolutely.
I mean, at what level of,
Yeah,
I
you
mean, do
gotta-
we know yet what level of security clearance they're gonna need?
Well, I mean,
Is it gonna be secret? Is
It's
it
not
be-
gonna be like Department of Defense level security.
Right.
You know, but because for several reasons, of course, the people that work there are gonna start understanding how the process works in general. But the specifics of our process is,
Well, I mean, the secret clearance at any level, there's a process for and a background check. It's much more extensive
Oh, yeah.
than
there'll be background
for a
checks.
person going to work.
Background checks for any employee, and, you know, I'm not, don't have all tight on that plan, I guarantee you, because if the interest is, in our plan is a worldwide
Right.
type interest, and China specifically is really interested. Because we're gonna be their number one competitor once we have, I mean, this plant can produce some of what is needed for the US, but it will take our main plant and really, but nevertheless, the interest in the process is, we're already starting to get protected because we have so much of it going together in there, so it's not as easy right now to get in as it was, but, you know, our full-blown security, by the time that plant's done, we'll have full-blown security there.
So guard check and
Yeah.
all that. Okay.
Do you have an anticipated revenue stream that you're shooting for? We're looking at 53 million.
I-
53 million.
Don't, at this point.
Okay.
The revenue stream is, by comparison, is minimal at this point compared to when the main plan was built. I mean, the size difference is phenomenal. I mean, the components that are in this plant are sized right, but there'll be much more of them in a big plant.
Thank you, Roger. Are there any other questions for Roger? Thanks for the update. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you guys.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
See this one?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
ladies. Not this guy. Yeah.
Well, hi, Karen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Fun 4-H update. And I have some other goodies to share
Thank you.
as well. Um,
Okay.
Printed you out a copy of the chatter just because there's lots of fun stuff. We have had, June was crazy in a really good way. So we are up to 194, I don't know my code here, youth enrolled in 4-H, which is super exciting. We have 34 volunteers. So Saturday we had the annual 4-H camp at Mallow. So we had 50 youth from Weston, Nybur, and Crick counties. And we did do just day camp this year. So Sarah, that was the 4-H educator in Crick County, has transitioned into their ag educator position. So they don't have a 4-H educator, and Kelly in Narborough County was on vacation, and with my new little peanut, it was like, we're gonna have to cry uncle on something, and so we did day camp, and we had a great time. We had 25 volunteers and parents pitch in and help, and we had a fantastic day. I was a little worried. We pulled in, it was 43 degrees Saturday morning when we got there, and I was like, well, we're starting out playing with the water with the little tumbleweeds, but it worked out fantastic. The kids all left with smiles on their faces and had a great time. So fingers crossed, the Crick County educator will come, 4-H educator hopefully will come on board sometime this fall, and we'll get started planning and try to do overnight camp again next year, and fingers crossed everything works. And because the kids really do want to stay, but it works really nice as a day camp too, other than I'm pretty sure I haul as much stuff up there to do one day of camp as if we stayed overnight. So the end of May into June, we had tons of educational opportunities. We had a little robotics mini contest. We have been having dog practices, and they're going to have a mock show on Saturday to get ready for county fair. Morris's did a swine workshop. Our intern in the office did a sheep and goat workshop. Sarah Rankin and Jace Rich did a beef workshop for, I think, 6 of the kids. We completed the horse safety certification. So for the kids to bring horses to fair, they have to be safety certified. Like, we have to see them handle and ride those horses before they come to fair. So that's a good thing. We had a modeling workshop last night, and then we have some showmanship workshops coming up leading up to fair for beef, sheep and goat, and swine. So that's been really fun to see those kids as projects in action and really get to see where we're at. It's a really good experience for them to bring stuff to town ahead of fair, especially those big steers, and make sure everybody's not going to freak out when we get to town. We had 7 youth and 5 adults attend Showcase Showdown in Laramie the end of June. And our junior team, Tacey Carter, Ava Malsum, and Lily Parsons were the champion junior ag robotics team. So that's a repeat for Tacey and Lily, which was really exciting for them. So it's really cool to see them really doing awesome things in that program. And while they're there, they also went to a bunch of workshops, and our crew all went bowling and had pizza, and I was really excited because they all kind of did stuff together, and I wasn't even there forcing them to do it. So we must be getting on the right, like, everybody's kind of going as a team, which is fun. Shooting sports is kind of wrapped up. Our kids will head to state shoot next week, but we had a awards night on June 17th. And we had over 60 people there that night for supper. So we did sloppy joes, and then everybody just brought a side to share. And it was great. It was a really fun night to showcase how all of those kids had done shooting throughout the year. We were able to do some really awesome prizes, and with my technology money that I had from UW as part of my hiring practice or package, we bought a Cricut and a Glowforge for the office, so we were able to personalize a bunch of those awards in-house, which definitely makes our money go a little further, and was a lot of fun. The kids were super excited for all of those awards. We do have 9 youth going on to state shoot next week, so that'll be really exciting. And then we had 2 youth just finish up at the national shoot in Grand Island last week. So Trevin White from Upton participated as on the hunting skills team, and they placed 8th overall as a team, and he was the 27th high individual. And then Samuel Ferguson competed on the muzzle loading team, and they were 3rd as a team, and he was the 49th place individual. And then Cassie White was actually the hunting skills coach. So it's a really great experience. It's a huge number of kids that go to Grand Island every year. So Samuel and Trevin qualified last year at our state shoot to go to the end of June. So fingers crossed, some of our kids, they have to be seniors to go on to the national shoot, and they can only go in each competition once. So Trevin can't go back in hunting skills, Samuel can't go back in muzzle loading, but they could go in something else again. So really hoping we'll have some kids qualify there and do really well at state shoot. And then it is full on county fair preparations. We actually, the first part of county fair kicks off 2 weeks from yesterday. So we will do all the fashion and the modeling and fabric and fashion judging on July 15th. So that is the kickoff to the 4-H end of county fair, and then that Friday will be the cat show, and then full on county fair week. So we're still working with fair award donors, getting all of that gathered up. Judges, just kind of still maintaining and managing that fair schedule and making sure everything's rocking and rolling there. So fair entry deadline is tomorrow. So yesterday I happened to be the only one at the office, and I'm pretty sure if the phone was ringing, both lines were ringing when someone was walking in the door. So it was a little crazy, but really good that everybody's starting to get fair entries in, and so we're just starting to coordinate with superintendents for what else they need to make Fair Week really run. And just some really fun pictures. It was really fun at the archery setup at camp. Tony and Cara Leonardson were the archery leaders. And if the kids got all 5 of their arrows in one of the 3D targets, they took their picture. So I have, I don't know, 70 pictures from Carl and Tony of the kids with all their targets. So it was really fun to see them get super excited and way excited to shoot the 3D target. So it was a lot of fun. And then just some pictures from the beef workshop and them shooting archery and all of that. And so county fair, we're just kind of on that downhill slide. So a big thing of getting that all ready to go is now that they'll have their entries in, their next step is getting their exhibits ready to come to fair and doing skill statements. So that is something the state fair requires for the 4-H exhibits to go on the state fair is one of these skill statements. They don't care what it looks like, but it's not. They give them a quarter of a sheet of paper and ask the 9-year-olds to write a couple sentences in there, and it doesn't work. So there's just a copy of what the new skill statement looks like in there, and then just some tips and tricks to get ready for interview judging at fair. So all of the kids that bring static exhibits to fair will come in and actually interview judge with the judge. So we'll have a photography judge, a foods judge, and then kind of a couple general exhibit judges. And so it gives them a really good time to sit down and talk one-on-one with that judge and tell them about their project. And it's truly one of my favorite pieces of 4-H because it gives them a time to really shine. And when I get to judge, you get to hear some of the best stories of the successes and the failures of what happened in that 4-H project and really see those kids come to light. So just some questions of what maybe the judge will ask and then getting ready for that. And then we're just getting ready for fair setup night, the carcass contest, and then all of the kids that have market livestock received a packet from our office that had a copy of the buyer letter and the flyer with information about the market animal sale, as well as information on how to prepare some letters to send to buyers, inviting them to come to the sale. So really encouraging them to go out and invite people to come to the sale and tell them about their 4-H projects and hopefully encourage them to come and buy that night. So something that we did it for the first time last year, and I think it was a really positive thing. So hopefully we'll see more of that. The kids also sent out like add-on forms with those and fair schedules. So hopefully kind of that whole packet of information to get more people to come to fair. And then more camp pictures, and that's kind of where we're at. Just a few tidbits of what else is going on, getting ready for fair, and then looking towards state fair, because we're going to blink and July is going to come and go as fast as the last couple months have. So any questions for me about what's going on in the 4-H world?
Questions? Awesome job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And any questions about budget stuff that I can answer while I'm here before we?
No, I think the budget's pretty well set.
Okay. And the budget hearing is the night of the 15th, correct? Okay.
I would, if you have questions about what it is, before that night, I would reach out to the clerk and maybe have her just send you what it's going to be.
Would you send that over?
Yeah, once I've done that.
Okay.
I'm still working on it.
That would be great. All right, thank you guys.
Thanks
Hopefully
for
we'll
your
see you all for the fun and excitement at county fair. If I look a little crazy in the next couple weeks, it's because it might get wild between now and then. So, all right, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your week.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm still only part-time.
Takes time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
But, yeah. Then I'll take a couple weeks off after fair and then we'll be back ready to roll for the fall. So, thank you guys.
Thanks for your hard work.
Yeah.
All right, courthouse security discussion. So, Michael, if you'll help me with that. If I forget anything, please, or misrepresent anything, let me know. So I went to the courthouse security meeting with the judges. I invited Commissioner Huber because she was around, so we went out and listened to the judges' concerns. There was two that they asked me to bring to the board for discussion. I told them we wouldn't delay and we would come up with an answer for them on two particular items. One, there's a rekeying issue, and Michael, maybe you can explain that better. We need to get a couple of doors rekeyed for Judge Bush. She has requested that, and Michael, if you explain why that's important.
Yeah, I think the concern was that both the circuit court and the district court had both have access to the same room up there, and she just said that there's not gonna be problems or anything, but they just want to sort of keep the folks separate.
Judge Bush didn't want her people to have access to that or the same key.
Yeah.
As the clerk up there, which rekeying is really a huge deal, but we'd have to call somebody in to do that. And Tina would set that up, yep.
So it doesn't need to be rekeyed. Old and West can go in and change the areas that they have access to. It's just a matter of Charles getting in there and reprogramming it.
That was an actual key. That wasn't the fob. This was a key.
Yeah, it's not a fob, it's a key.
This is a key
an actual key. Okay.
to the little cubby hole up there, right?
Yeah. It's not a fob, it's a key, and it's got a cylinder in it that can be rekeyed, so.
So are they gonna pay for that?
No, they're requesting that from us. There was no mention that they were going to pay for that. That was the first request. The second is, and I got to see it firsthand, I guess I really didn't or wasn't aware of it, but the sound deadening up there. Both judges are concerned that there could be a mistrial, because if you go outside that door, and I would welcome commissioners to go out there and do that while court's in session, you can hear every word that is said. And the concern is that, somebody being charged, somebody, a victim, that type of thing, information can be heard that really shouldn't be heard for everybody. So the first suggestion is if we could get drapes put up there. I know that was just redone up there, but really the sound deadening was not thought about during that process, because it's really a bad echo. I don't know how the commission feels about that, or we're aware about none of it.
And one thing is, it's a pretty big liability issue when we're dealing with like juvenile cases or delinquency cases that are supposed to be confidential, and nobody outside of that courtroom is supposed to be knowing what's going on. I'm concerned with what you can hear out in the hallway. People will be knowing what's going on in those hearings, and then we have issues of liability for lots of different folks.
Well, and the drapes may not solve the problem completely, but it may make a step towards it. I think that we're going to have to figure out a way to invest some in sound deadening, but maybe we don't do that now because of money concerns. But the liability is real, and you can't just, it's not just you can hear mumbling, you can hear everything that's said. So it's just something that we need to consider.
And we talked about acoustic panels. Tina had looked into those before, but for everyone in the room, because it's a historic building, the original architect that did the remodeling felt like that had to be approved. I think that won't be a problem because acoustic, they can be temporary. They can be installed and considered temporary. The way they're installed, I did some research about how they're installed. They actually can look very attractive. They can blend in, or you can have them look like paintings, or you can, there's a lot of different ways to do them, hanging from the ceiling, the same color. And so Tina said she had some, she looked into it before and got some pricing, I think.
Yep, and she was denied.
But that actually might be cheaper than drapes, actually, when you start looking at it, because the drapes have to be custom made for those windows. So you might be surprised that the acoustic panels are cheaper in the long run than drapes would be. But I think, I knew it was bad, but I think that we don't realize, because everything changed after COVID and now there's all these microphones and there's people zooming in on cameras and everything's on speakers. It's much more a problem than it used to be, I think. And then with the remodel, it's like an echo chamber in there. It's hard to understand what's going on, let alone hearing. Outside the courtroom, there's all sorts of problems with it. It's definitely something that we may, even if it hurts a little bit, we may have to really look into this. And I can get a hold of the Historical Society and see what they say. But I think once we explain to them what needs to be done and why it needs to be done, I don't think there'll be a problem with it.
Good, Commissioner.
So instead of spending a bunch of money, why don't we stop letting people hang out on that balcony upstairs? There's plenty of room down here. There's seats down here. I don't know why they have to sit up there in front of those doors.
Yeah, I just don't know what authority we have to stop that access. And I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I just don't know what authority we have to do.
They actually brought it up, Commissioner, and they said the same thing, but they're not sure that they can limit people from doing that.
Well, can't the treasurer limit people from going behind her desk? I mean, you can't just go anywhere you dang well please in this building.
But they still have people going up there to the clerk of courts to
Which
get
we have,
paperwork and
which
whatnot.
we have courthouse security. I mean, I'm just thinking, at a certain time, that yes, you may go up and tend to your business, or no, you may not. Here's the seating area. I'm not saying, I'm just looking at a different option at it instead of spending money.
What the final thing is they want to use this room to put their, is it jury? in?
Yeah, so I don't work for district court because there's too many jurors to put in here, but circuit court jury trials maybe have a couple a year. They almost always happen on Fridays. But there's like usually about 24, 25 people that are called in. And the last one we had, there was people all over the place just hanging out. It was awkward and other issues that could present mistrial problems because the defendant might run into somebody or I might run into
There's certain
somebody.
things the jury's not supposed to hear.
Yeah.
Which was their concern. The only problem with being in here is the security of the mail machine. They didn't want documents or access to documents possibly left or something behind that could be a security breach. Go ahead, Commissioner.
So we got a sheriff's building over there that's completely empty. Well, not completely empty, but there's a lot of excess room in there now. Does Gilbert need to be in the basement now? I mean, I'm sure it's nice to have him here, but technically he answers to the sheriff's department. If the courthouse security person is doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're probably not going to be in that room. The issue I see is this: what are we going to do with all this stuff?
And that was the issue.
And I don't want somebody doing this either, personally.
Yeah. Well, we did have some other ideas. I mean, we were just spitballing afterwards. But the judges weren't on by that time, but we were thinking maybe, because it would only probably be about half hour, 45 minutes a couple times a year. I understand that is concerns, and people that gotta do their public business here too, with the clerk's office and the treasurer's and access to this, so I get that. One thing we thought about was maybe, I didn't even think about that sheriff's building. But one thing we thought about was maybe having, before the jury is brought over, just have them at the city council building or something, but maybe there's room in the sheriff's building. The only issue city council building or something, but maybe there's room in the sheriff's building. The only issue with that is somebody who has a disability or something getting over here, but.
Thinking about Gilbert's office, that might be a solution if,
Yeah, maybe moving Gilbert over to the sheriff's office.
because then the elevator would be available when it's working.
Only issue would be if there's lines that he would need access to.
The only issue that I have with them being in here is a lot of times we have customers in our office that forget their loan documents, and so they get faxed in here. And I don't want to have a customer from Upton waiting for his fax for his loan documents, and I not be able to use this room for, if for some reason it lasts 2 hours, and that customer has to be waiting on that, or Susie's office has insurance cards faxed in here, and the customer's waiting in their office. I mean,
I forget that sheriff's, where the city police department was at in there. Is there there's free open access back to the jail from there, isn't there?
There is.
Yeah.
You're right.
So that'd be the issue, I guess. That there might be something we can figure out if we brainstorm for a week or two on it. I don't know.
I think the only
Visit with
thing
Brian.
they're looking for at this point is the rekeying and where they could put the jury members at that time, but I never thought about Gilbert's, and I think that's a good idea, because that's pretty secure too, and it's kind of up by its standalone by itself down there. But then they have to figure out if Gilbert could move. But the rekeying was the first issue, which shouldn't be very costly to rekey a couple of lots, but who knows? Putting a footprint out there.
well, actually, only one should need to be rekeyed.
Well, but I think that would be up to Tina and the judge. There was, I believe, 3 that they talked about it. Correct me if I'm
No, I
wrong.
think so.
Not just one. And it's not, that's their, I think we'd have to go through them on that, but what they needed.
More or less, we got 3 issues, right? The acoustics inside the courthouse, the rekeying, and then the sound deadening or the moving of the individuals that would normally be outside the courtroom.
And the judge, not Bush, who's the other judge?
That was Judge Cosby.
Okay, Judge Cosby made a good point. He said that the renovation's beautiful there, but it's not functional because of the sound deadening. And I think we'd have a serious problem if somebody that was convicted got a mistrial because of what we do there. So I think to Huber's point, you gotta figure out at least a game plan, because we noticed it completely up there. It was terrible.
And this topic this isn't the first time that's been brought up. Tina mentioned it a little better than a year ago. And looking at the architecture of that, you got your rounded corners in the top and pretty flat walls. There's not a lot of things on the walls. If the courtroom is full, would be better, because you do have absorption of that by bodies and clothing and stuff. But I agree with Vera as far as something that complements. It could be ceiling mounted, wall mounted. Maybe it's something sound dampening that hangs down from the ceiling. Something to take the echo out of it. But it is set up kind of like a ballroom there.
Should I ask the historical preservation board to come to our meetings, so you guys can talk to them?
I don't have a problem with it, but I'd like to see Vera, offer to do that with the
Yeah,
historical society and
could
get
call
back to
them
us.
I don't mind calling them and seeing if they'd like to come talk to us or if they just give a verbal approval. I think it's not going to be as big an issue as we think.
How about Vera, if she's willing to do the legwork and then they come and report it to us at the next meeting or whenever they can.
Yeah, that's fine.
I would like to see us, if we need a motion to approve, Tina to get a hold of the locksmith guy and rekey the locks to take care of that issue fairly quickly. And then we, like Commissioner Todd mentioned, we put roll call into moving rooms.
The only thing is Brandon or someone will need a key as well, because if there's a fire in here, I mean, they can't be the only ones, that's the whole point of it.
I don't think they had any restrictions like that. It was more, she wanted to make sure her staff did not have the same access as our staff, the staff up there.
Yeah.
But Tina has all those details, so that's what I'm saying. We just let her, and she was willing to handle it, so if we got approval, so.
And I move that we have the keys, the locks rekeyed as needed.
I second that.
So I have a motion that's been properly seconded. Any discussion? Are you gonna let Tina handle that? Go ahead.
Are we gonna do it without knowing any costs and is the county paying for that solely and the state's not gonna help at all?
They did not seem to willing to do that, considering it was cases that were Weston County they were concerned about. But I mean, we could take that back to them and say, are we willing to split that cost? I don't know the answer to that.
I guess my only concern is it gonna be $300 or is it gonna be $1,500? I don't know what it costs. Can't imagine it's a terrible expense.
Yeah, I would probably go with the lower, just like you, than the higher, but I'm not gonna say for sure without doing it, but 3 key cylinders are, you can buy new cylinders without rekeying them too for those particular locks, so I don't imagine it's gonna be a great deal of expense.
So, with that thought, I mean,
Should we limit the amount up to X amount of dollars? If it's more, then we gotta revisit?
or they've been living with it for this long. Why can we get the quote on it and the next meeting approve it, I guess? I mean, is there an issue you think with waiting 2 weeks?
2 weeks, I mean, I don't think there'll be a big issue with waiting 2 weeks just so you can get some bids and make sure you know what you're spending. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that either.
I would amend my motion to open that up for bids on the ones being reviewed.
And put a deadline on it for the next meeting so we can get it taken care of. Because it's been a problem, she said, for a while.
So is that gonna be Tina running that down, or who would run that down?
Tina would probably, well, maybe we just get our maintenance guy, Cliff just made a good point.
Brandon.
He's gonna have to have a key anyway, they didn't protest for that, so maybe we just have Brandon get bids to it. And then, once that's done,
Just for everyone else's information, they also talked about a couple other problems. The jury being so close to the courtroom now with the acoustic problem. That's a concern that the jury hears things that they shouldn't necessarily hear. And so they did talk a little, briefly, they talked about maybe a couple solutions. I think
here,
they're
I mean,
thinking
we have
of.
still a motion on the floor, so let's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
then we'll go back. No, you're fine. So we have a motion on the floor that's been amended to get a bid through our maintenance guy and get back at the next meeting to determine what the amount is and then move forward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. So I have a motion properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And we will start looking into solutions for the sound deadening and maybe get some bids.
I'll talk to some of the historical society won't be this week, next week, but I will do that. It may be that I talk to Tina and maybe even make a time where they can come up and hear the problem, because once you hear the problem, it's much clearer.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely an eye opener.
There's a commercial service call from Weihauser Enterprises, which is a lock shop. It came and did repin 3 worn cylinders, which at the jail, and it was like $330. So I don't think it's probably gonna be that much.
Well, we'll have the bid for the next meeting, so we'll react, and that way everybody's satisfied.
Just,
When we took that grant to redo that upstairs, wasn't that kind of a major deal with that historical stuff? So they may give you some pushback, because I remember when we were doing all that stuff, I mean, it was
Well,
amazing
you
the stuff that they would.
can't do anything to the courthouse at all
Yeah.
until you call them, because we're on the historical, list
Yeah,
for historical buildings.
yeah, I was surprised how much pushback.
And you could be right, but I'm wondering if judicial rules would knock on that. Well, so a murder would go free because of a mistrial, because of sound deadening. I don't know that would fly either.
I'm not saying that, but.
Well, that's what could happen, correct?
Well, with the jury, yeah, that could happen, and I'm real concerned about the confidentiality issues of some of these confidential cases. Just want to follow up on what to do with the jury issue. Somebody I guess I can talk to Brian about where maybe Mr. Todd's idea is not bad.
So,
I think it's a good idea.
the circuit where they used to have court over there is never used.
That's another idea too, yeah. I didn't know if they would charge.
They were concerned with moving them back and forth across the parking lot, if you remember. So I would think that the closest location, which was Commissioner Todd's idea, would be the best location. Because then there's still, they mentioned security of the jury. There's a lot of things that shouldn't happen, that could happen if they're moved any great distance from that. So I like Commissioner Todd's idea. That would be the best. Yeah. I mean, Gilbert can be over there. I mean, he's under the sheriff anyway, so it would make sense to me that for him to be closer, unless we have some.
I just don't know what Sheriff Colhart's position on that would be. There's probably something we're not thinking about that he will. So,
Well, and if he does, then we can address it, but the closer the better. If you remember, the judges said that would be their preference. All right.
Does this sound like a judge's chamber back
I don't know, because I've been back there.
there? It'd be interesting to see.
It was crazy.
Morning.
Oh, I'm sure that's probably good.
Crazy.
Morning.
Morning, guys.
You guys all have a copy of this.
Good morning. Could you guys state your name for the people on the Zoom meeting? Just one at a time, if you would.
Tuff Streeter, Airport Manager, John Cooksey, Alan Parks.
Bobby Augustine.
Thanks, welcome.
Hangar project update, what do we have for the update on the project, on the hangar project?
What we have is, after, it's been quite an adventure, but at this point, we have an engineer's recommendation from a bid that was opened almost a month ago. The challenge with it is this, due to the way things have gone, it's a couple $100,000 more than we'd actually anticipated when we were to talk to you about it originally. we scratched around and managed to come up with the money, the extra couple $100,000 to fill the bill. The challenge for you all is then we have to come up with the local match for that extra money, which to y'all is $4,648.89. And that's what we need to make the stretch. We saw the city council last night, and they liked the idea, so we're good to go from there.
What was that amount again, 4,600?
$4,648.89, in addition to the 24,000 that was, you were all in favor of a couple years ago. And it adds it up to the big number is $29,039, which is the $4,600 we're hoping you will pay on today, plus what you already talked about a couple years ago.
And this is going to be for an 8 hanger unit.
Yeah, there'll be eight hangers there that cost you $3,672.75 a piece from your end, and costs us almost $170,000 to get the hanger built. So there's sure a lot of government money coming in to the community for the sake of that $4,600. Right. Which everything that can be bought locally will be bought locally.
Putting total asset amount of this project at close to $1.5 million.
1,469,113.26.
You got other ARPA funds.
Amount.
I would agree with that. Any other questions about this? I think we would need a motion to do that, right? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So there's a motion and a second on the floor to take the additional 4,630, what is it?
4889.
4889 from the ARPA fund. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Yeah, Garrett.
Garrett
I'll speak up.
Okay.
Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're just adding on to this, we're looking like, we had to obviously wait until we got approval from the city and the county, for this, and tomorrow we're gonna go ahead and proceed, and the letter will be sent to the FAA, with the engineer's recommendations, and supposedly that was the plan anyway. And then the process will begin. We're hoping, with any luck, late summer, early fall, to get the hangars built. The grant should be, once we get the ball rolling, hopefully tomorrow, well, not, yeah, tomorrow maybe, I don't know how they work over the 4th, this week, but once they get the ball rolling on that, then they will go ahead and issue the grants. And so at some point you'll be receiving a grant. If you'd like to, for whatever reason, us to come talk to you about that, when it comes in, it'll show up on your black cap probably.
This might be a besides the fact question, but so with the new hangars going in, will you guys be taking down those ones that are down past your place that are, looks like the roof is missing part of it, the older hangars, or are they gonna be staying up, or how's that?
And not at this point, the one with the damaged roof, he's supposed to be getting that fixed, his contractor, the guy he hired got.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, no, they're privately owned until, something happened, or they decided to do it. Mr. Parks owns one of them.
Okay. It was just I noticed that the roof was missing and part of it, so I was just wondering. So, once that grant comes in, I'll need a motion to have the chairman sign that.
I move to approve our chairman's signature on that grant when we receive it.
Second.
I have a motion that's been properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes. All right, we're a little bit ahead, but we'll move on to, if there's not any other questions about the hangar project, to
the new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
all right, we're a little bit ahead, but we'll move on to, if there's not any other questions about the hangar project, to the 89102 citizens of the county appointed by the Board of County Commissioner discussion. And I think two of us had that put on. I think Nathan asked to have it put on, and I agree with that. So do you want to start that off?
Yeah, I guess I should probably go back. We had a gal, I think it was March or April this winter sometime, put in for a board position, and through finding out she lived, was it Campbell County? Something like that. So we had to turn her down, and to my, I guess, I never saw the state statute, but the state statute was brought to explain this. So at the last meeting, before the meeting, just I asked Garrett if Mr. Cooksey was a resident of Weston County, and he said yes. And he says he lives at Robbers Roost. And I thought, well, where's Robbers Roost, Weston County? So I was Googling it that night because I was curious of the history of it. And it appeared that it was in Niobrara County, so I reached out to Mr. Cooksey, and he eventually verified that it was in Niobrara County, where your residence is, correct?
My residence is in Niobrara.
Yeah, so that's the gist of it. And, I think this board has an option. We could ignore the statute, or which may have ramifications, or we follow the statutes and you ask Mr. Cooksey or we either remove him or ask him to resign from the position and re-advertise the position. But that's something this board needs to decide.
I'd like to add a little bit to that. I did misinform Commissioner Todd of the information. I believed it to be true at the time of telling Nathan that, or last meeting, and the time of finding out that was not the truth. I did contact him immediately and verified that it was misinformation. He did very much live in their Niobrara. I look at this statute. Mr. Cooksey's been on the airport board for more than one term, multiples. I think prior boards have honestly overlooked the statute concerning this, because the statute was definitely in place in the state of Wyoming prior to any of the board positions serving by Mr. Cooksey. It is unfortunate. I look at it as an unfortunate thing in so many ways, because of the involvement and the wisdom that he has brought to the benefit and the production of Mondale Field, him and his family. But ultimately, when we take an oath for being a commissioner, you take an oath to uphold these statutes. And it is a state statute on having a board of trustees, a member of that board of trustees be citizens of the county in which they're representing or serving. So recognizing the statute, thankfully, Commissioner Todd brought it to our attention, and at first I thought it looked like it might be a blow up. We might have a fight on our hands, but state statute is what it is. And I would make a motion asking for Mr. Cooks' resignation on our airport board.
I have a motion, is it? I need a second.
Regrettably, I'll second that.
Discussion. Go ahead, Commissioner, and then I'll go.
I would like to add a caveat also that, Mr. Cooksey, this is nothing personal for me. I just asked the question because it was brought to our attention. I hope that you have no ill feelings towards me in that discovery process. You know, I would personally rather see a resignation than us remove you if that was your choice to do so.
You're gonna make a comment?
Yeah.
It would be incredible of me to be upset about this. It's just a law.
Yeah.
We didn't see the speed limit sign.
Yeah.
And here we are. The only other question I have for you, for your consideration, is the airport. We've tried to do some searching on how the airport board was created. It was originally an advisory committee to the city and county about managing the airport, which leads me to the question for your consideration: is this the type of board that the statute addresses?
My assumption is yes. I can't give you the 100% on that. I mean, I think that would be better answered by this gentleman, but I had wondered if there's an opportunity as a non-voting board member, if you would consider a role like that, if you were to abstain from any voting on the board and continue in your role as a board member, if that would be an option to look at. I know there's bylaws.
I mean,
you have to.
Yeah, there's bylaw. I don't know if I've ever looked at the bylaws. I think it's public, right? You can participate, have input, come to a meeting. You just can't be on the board of trustees, right? So that's pretty clear, both on Title 18 and Title 10. So
Are all boards of trustees?
not necessarily, but these statutes aren't the clearest on how they're established. On the side of caution to make sure that these guys uphold their oaths and somebody doesn't say that any action that was done by the board is void or something like that. That's just the safest way to go. As far as your question, the way these statutes set up these boards, it's just something to assume that it's underneath the county and that it is a board of trustees.
Can I bring up one thing? To be a real board, don't you have to have a set of rules? Like we're Sweetwater up there, we have bylaws. We don't have bylaws. So does that make us, or at least I've never seen any bylaws, so does that make us just not really a board and just an advisors?
Well,
How does that change the subject? I mean,
it's a good question. I don't know why there wouldn't be bylaws.
It would be a good idea to have bylaws. Honestly, I don't think we have a prepared set of bylaws as a commission.
I mean, does that change? I mean,
We don't have to, but it's always good.
you don't have to?
No.
I'm just, we're Sweetwater, we do it, so, you know that.
Yeah,
So.
question I got for our attorney also is the initializing of the airport board for Mondale Field in the description, it was it was titled an advisory board. And I guess at this point, I'm in an assumption mode that we've evolved from an advisory board into a board of trustees. That's my assumption according to state statute, but I don't know where that transitioned.
I don't know in the history of, I just don't have that information in front of me. It's just, it's not a different board. It's not like like the fairgrounds and the airport. It's not, the way I read the statute, it's not like a separate thing from the county. It's sort of under the county, right? So it's a board of trustees that does advise. That's the way I read it, just to be safe.
And ultimately, that's what a board of trustees does, is advise.
And I mean, and in state statute, it lists out our responsibilities to appoint on a bi-yearly basis or whatever to those boards. And I mean, I think it's a board.
And in order to get the money that they do from the county and from the city, they fall within that realm of the board. Or they wouldn't be receiving the funds that they do from us, or from the state for the grants that they do.
One comment that I had is when I heard about this, at first I was kind of angry and owe an apology to Commissioner Todd because I thought it was more of a timing. I said when we dealt with the statute about paying commissioners that I can't stand in the middle of the road and say we need to follow the rules and then not follow the rules. So I just felt that as though you worked extremely hard, your dad before you, and it was kind of a gut-wrenching thing and I felt really bad about the whole situation. But it is the statute. And again, can't stand in the middle of the road and claim this and do something else. So for that, I apologize. And I apologize to Commissioner Todd because it was kind of an off. The only thing that I wish would have happened when we appointed you to the board is, I'm guessing it was a concern to Commissioner Todd. I wish you would have brought that up because I assumed he lived in the county too, just because. I don't know you super well, but I know you. I see you everywhere with that, and we would have been able to address it at that time. That's probably my biggest regret.
Well, I kind of thought I'd just go to the guy that might know. I didn't know Mr. Cooksey from Adam. I know of you and your family's history, but I thought maybe Garrett knew it. No,
yeah,
I mean, see, this board makes mistakes, and unfortunately, this is one of them, and it was probably originally made 4 years ago in 2020.
Go ahead.
Well, I can resign at any time. I don't know whether you want to, however plays best before or after you vote on your motion, however you want to do it.
Well, this was just discussion. We have a motion that's on the floor asking for you to resign voluntarily, and we got a second. So, yes.
Could I make a statement? Based on the wisdom and the knowledge that Mr. Cooksey apparently has brought to the airport board, and many boards use consultants in their operation to continue to gain wisdom from the person who has it. Could he be a volunteer consultant to the airport board after you appoint a new board member, just so we can continue to use his knowledge and wisdom that he has brought to the board all these 4 years he's been on it?
Well, I think we finish up with this motion, and that's a possibility, but, so is there any other discussion about this? We have a motion that's been properly seconded. All those in favor of asking for go ahead.
Would you read the motion again, Becky? That doesn't sound right.
Vice Chairman Borton move to ask for Mr. Cooksey's resignation.
What's concerning with that?
I don't know. I just was curious if Mr. Cooksey would like to resign without us having to make that as a motion and move forward.
Would you like to resign?
I'll resign.
Oh,
You need it in writing?
If you could put it in writing, I'd appreciate it. And then we won't need a motion then with his voluntary.
I would rescind the motion if he's voluntarily resigning.
All that is good.
Okay.
Becky, did you get a letter from Keith and Terry?
I'm passing it on right now.
I have it right now, so-
I had it in the consent and then I pulled it till after this was done. So that,
Okay, that, we have another vacancy on the board. Some Attic's term expired.
so we'll have all advertised then that and we'll just, unless you have someone else.
I don't know anybody offhand, or I
I'll
just
just-
knew Keith was
I'll just
interested
advertise that
in
one.
his filling that position. We
Okay.
didn't know of Don's, but was in it. So
I didn't know John, so I will go ahead and advertise the other one.
yesterday he said he would send it, so.
Yep.
at this point, can we discuss a little bit pastor's idea or possibly talking to Michael about what the legalities are of Mr. Cookie's?
I believe Commissioner Borton put under new business consulting to discuss that.
Okay.
I could add something to this. On our water district, my wife is secretary, Don's the president, Carmel Hoffman and Tina Conklin are on board members. They come to me all the time, because I don't know half of them know how to spell water, or know where the pipelines are. I've been in the area for 40 years. I know where every line was, and Don can attest to that.
Oh,
Yeah, and saved our district a whole bunch of money, because I knew where Preston Streaver and different ones laid water lines. And my wife is continually telling me, you can't vote, Al, but we need your opinion. So that helps the conversation. And we've discussed this, like I told Ronnie, I said, other than it, hurts a person's feelings and the rest of us, that means we continue to keep going on. And you might not be able to sign. I can't sign, but I can damn sure tell Don what my opinion is and where things are at, and my wife. And she makes me abide by the rules, by the way. So I don't get away with anything. So enough said. Just thought that enlightenment, little few things.
So we have a member that is volunteering to be on the airport board. I've seen the letter. Do you want to make a motion to accept him to the board? Or do we want to wait and post it and it's up to the board?
There's now two openings.
Thank you, Michael. So we could, what's the board's will on this?
In the shape that the airport's in currently, I move to approve Keith Materi as Mondale Field Airport board member.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion properly seconded, any discussion?
I know where his house is.
I know.
Okay, all those in favor of having Keith Materi join the airport board, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Actually related to her. Unrelated to everybody, so that really
Let's rescind the motion.
What's nothing thrown at you?
Okay, we got old business.
That the CEO, he was building a case for Piper allergen removal. There was no doubt that was revealed in that meeting. Was working with personnel from H&H Leadership Solutions to do that. So this situation now, who knows what information gets uncovered with an active, aggressive, targeted investigation with a purpose. You can generate information about people. You don't know if it's true. You don't know if it's valid, but if you have that information, you can't let people go back to work. I know nothing. The board's done a good job of not telling anybody anything, because this is a true sticky personnel situation where you have to be very careful for Piper's protection, because God knows what's been said about her or turned up about her. But once those things are said, you have to investigate them. And so the board's in a position where they have to follow through on that and bring closure to that.
Okay, we got old business, resolution 84-1.
Oh, you want me to read it?
Sure, if you want.
Okay, resolution number 2024-17, resolution to rescind resolution 84-1. Whereas the Weston County Board of County Commissioners, the board created resolution 84-1 in 1984 concerning dogs running at large in portions of Weston County, Wyoming. And whereas after further consideration, the board has decided that said resolution 84-1 is not in the best interest of Weston County, Wyoming, and therefore should be rescinded. Now therefore be it resolved that resolution 84-1 is rescinded in its entirety and is of no further force and effect. Dated the 2nd day of July, 2024, the Board of Weston County Commissioners, Weston County, Wyoming. You guys had said at the last meeting you would like Michael to just totally rescind that resolution. So if you'd like to make a motion to do that.
I don't want to take away from Ed's concerns or recommend that he maybe present some to his community that would make more sense than this resolution did, because I've read it several times, and I guess I don't understand the framework in which it was put in place, and the distancing, and there was just some things I had questions. It's by no means lessening Ed's concerns, because there's obviously concerns there. So that's what I would welcome him to.
After Officer or Deputy Fields' input on that at the last meeting, it is kind of a crazy resolution when it comes down to. I understand maybe the need for it, or at the time, because there is kind of that buffer zone between a county property or outside the city limits. But if it can't be enforced, or if it isn't justifiably feasible to enforce that, the resolution has nothing more than a slight idea of suggestion to it. And I agree with the resolution. I move that we approve the removal of resolution 84-1.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of rescinding resolution 84-1, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion rescinded. All right, moving on to new business. Commissioner report.
I've got thinking about the progress that has been taking place out at Mondale Field, not only the master plan, but some current projects that we have at hand. Not wanting to lose any momentum in that area. This actually goes in hand with a suggestion that was brought to the airport board's attention by Mr. Severa, and also along the lines of Mick's suggestion. I'm motivated to make a motion to create an aviation consultant position for Mondale Field. The job description would be a professional who provides advice and assistance to clients on matters related to aircraft operations, safety, maintenance, and other related topics. This position would hold a contracted salary of $23,000 a year, and this contract would be for 5 years, the same as Morris and Murley has for a contract, our engineers for Mondale.
So, how does this have any relevance to Board of County Commissioners?
Well,
I mean, isn't this
give them the money.
Yeah, but they would have to create the position as a board and then approve it as their board. And then come in front of us to ask for the money.
And then ask the city.
And ask the city for more money. It's not something that the county commissioners just would create.
They would have to create the funds.
Yeah, you'd have to come up with the funds if the county commissioners agreed to fund whatever the airport board. It's like the fair board deciding to create a position and just telling us we have to fund it.
The airport board creates it first.
Yeah.
Then comes before the Board of County Commissioners.
And
once they
ask,
have the
yeah.
funds, and then ask the city first.
Yeah, we don't, I think we could get in the cart before the horse, yeah.
So you're asking for a rescind of the motion, asking for, I'll reword the motion, which I guess at that point, it doesn't need to be one, but I would rescind the motion, asking the airport board to consider that position for the creation of an aviation consultant.
I still don't know where we are involved in it. I would like to see, if the airport board is interested in doing that, the board should get together and discuss it with their board and see if it's something that they want to do, and then bring a proposal in front of the county commissioners. I mean, I'm not trying to rain on the parade here, I still think we're getting the cart before the horse. But
And what he's saying makes some sense in that ultimately it would be their decision to make that position and then come to us. And that way it would also go back on them, the whole process of hiring someone, picking somebody. Everything would be on the airport board. We wouldn't have anything to do with that.
all we are is a funding mechanism. If we approve it, and you'd have to get secondary approval of the city to pay half of it.
If the board goes and approves that position though, and we don't have a line item account for that in the budget for this year, then we wouldn't be able, even if they approved it, we wouldn't have the money to fund it.
No.
So I would think that the question would be, or the motion would be that we set aside a line item or add it to the budget for the search of it, if that's what they request. Because you're right, it's a funding mechanism, but without funds, we would have to say, and they came to us, we don't have it in the budget this year, so then we're talking another year without that position.
Not necessarily.
Well, you'd have a budget adjustment, obviously, and you could do that, but.
I think they need to start the process. And if it's a good idea to the city council, and they are willing to do it, and it's brought in front of this board, and it's a good idea to us, and it's decided to fund the operation, and it's upon us to figure out where to designate the funds from. And if we have it available, if we don't, then we don't. I mean, say, sorry, Charlie, I'm not opposed to the idea by any means. I think that I just look back at other boards, and I think nobody comes to us and I mean, I'm not telling as a board here that you need to hire somebody, so go out and get it done, and this is what it's going to cost. Figure out a game plan, come to us with a game plan, and then if we decide it's something worthwhile for the county, we figure out how to fund it.
I was looking at this as more of a responsibility move in reaction to things, state statute that we need to adhere to, and also this is a joint entity shared by the county, so responsibility-wise, providing an option for continuance on the success of Mondale Field.
And there would be no doubt that, at least from what I know, that his input was critical to how we got to where we are with the airport. So I don't see anything wrong with your line of thinking on having a consultant. Go ahead.
The only concern I see with this is it feels like we're creating a position for somebody just off of a whim, and I'm not trying to neglect or discount this gentleman's importance to the board, but I think there's a process, and for us to just create something out of thin air right this moment, I think is very much not the way business is usually handled.
I would like to, again, the motion was rescinded, but I would like to ask the airport board to consider that within the board.
That's not anything you have to write this second. You guys should put together a proposal if that's what you want to do and present it to the board, and then we can go from there.
One other question, are you required to have bylaws? Is it a requirement?
No.
So we don't have to run out and start working on that.
When we took instructions from this year, when the elected officials had to go to classes, they do recommend bylaws because it puts boundaries
one of our meetings
on things. But
Mr. Severa brought it up, and he pays attention to more of the clerical stuff than some of us. And
we don't
was talking to a lot of people and wanted to know what our bylaws was.
We don't have a written set of bylaws, but there's many counties that do, and they recommend it. That's the best advice I could give you. I would talk about it.
Let me look through my file that I have for
I
you
think
guys and see
when
if
we
I
start
found
taking
one.
these classes is when this popped up.
I'd be shocked if there's not bylaws.
Let me
in there.
look and see, I may have a copy of the bylaw.
We're kind of curious about that. That could get kind of in too.
Well, if it was overlooked and you do, then
Well, just like
you
this,
kind of find
just
out.
like this other issue, who would fund it?
I know Bob's brought it up multiple times.
It's something we should look at.
Is there any other things we need to discuss with the airport board? Okay. Well, we appreciate you continue with all of the things that you have done with the airport. I would say definitely talk between yourselves and figure out if there's a need for a consultant. And if there is, please bring it back to the board, because I would support that if it was necessary. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
And gals.
Sam.
Anything else to introduce? No. Is there any public comment? Stan, go ahead. You got the floor.
Stanley Jasinski, taxpayer. Just a couple thoughts I had around deadening, sound deadening, and the jury, place to put the jury. I know blown insulation, you blow insulation in those walls, it would deaden that sound. It'd be very unobtrusive as far as historical value or things like that. I think it's something that could seriously be looked into. So I'm just suggesting that. And for the jury, I don't know, maybe 50 feet from here is the library conference room. For $5, you can rent that room. And if you're talking 2 Fridays a month, it's got TV in there, it's got a sink in there. And it's got bathrooms right there. I think that's a very good possible solution. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good ideas.
Thanks.
You know Clinton Whitney?
The name sounds familiar. but I can't
He's a
say.
locksmith
Okay.
here in town. Well, he lives out on 450, but he can change them keys out for you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? You look like you want to say something.
I just feel gut punched with the airport board. I didn't see that coming. That's all.
Okay, commissioner's comment. Start with you, Commissioner Todd. Nothing? Here?
Well, I do have a comment. After this unfortunate turn of events, I really feel like we should, even if there's only one candidate for a position, I feel like we should have them come in and visit with us. I don't always feel comfortable just reading a letter and approving somebody to a board when I haven't visited with them or put my eyes on them. It would also be helpful in our relationship with the boards to do that and let them know how important we think they are.
At the bare minimum, a phone conference call. I mean,
Something.
if they're working and, I mean, I agree 100%.
Yeah, and I think that's an excellent point, and I also agree. Garrett?
I've got contacted on this topic a couple times, and it has to do with hand counting our ballots. We've got an election year coming up. This is our election year, and the concerns of not hand counting. There was a couple things that were mentioned as far as there's instructions on how to fill out the ballot itself, and it says completely darken in your choice, and there has been either pencil or pen brush strokes across something, whether it was handed and you got kind of a brush on it and the computer had counted that as a count. It was something to keep in mind. I'm for it if we're capable of doing that. I understand. If I understand it correctly, we can't do both, electric and hand, but one or the other. And I would be, I just think it's a good idea to count the ballots.
Just to reply on that, I understand that if there is an objection to the vote, that they would automatically go to hand counting the votes. But I don't know that one, I mean, Beth, you might be able to answer that better than I do. But I would think if there was a dispute with the count, that they could go to a hand count. I don't think it's one of those things that, well, you've already electronically counted it, it stands. But I could be wrong.
You are wrong, but
Yeah.
we're not. We don't need this, but I appreciate your comments.
So you're saying that if there's an objection to the vote, that it's too bad?
I didn't say that.
I know, that's what I'm asking.
I did not say that, but there's not going to be hand counting unless.
What's the process if someone objects to the vote? Because I've gotten the same calls, I just figured.
Right, the machine doesn't count. There's a lot of stuff that goes into the machines, and they're all approved by the Secretary of State's office. And a little brush across will not count in our machines. I know there's a lot of talk about that, and it will not count. It has to be completely darkened in. And there's pins, not pencils. Pencils can be erased.
What if it isn't completely darkened in? What happens?
And it won't count. That's why you have instructions on how to vote on a ballot.
I know the electronic thing is kind of the new and improved and probably easier in a lot of ways to do it. I understand probably that desire for the digital system, but I do know that the precincts are broke down to where, you know, each individual precinct, if you wanted to count the number of ballots per precinct, it's probably not substantial to have hand count. Just my thoughts.
I believe we just went through that with the hospital board as well. They wanted to do some kind of a hand count to be sure the votes were right as well. But Commissioner Todd.
Is there a threshold, Becky, that it automatically causes for a count, like 3 vote difference or 1 vote difference or something?
Yeah, we have to recount.
So there is a threshold, so.
But they're not hand counted.
They're reran through the machine.
And we've had to do that every year. It's been full, so.
And,
It's been 100% on. And anybody's welcome to come to our public testing, ask any questions they want. Walter comes, it's very
I was at the last one, and what I was shown was not what you hear about in the news with other areas in the country on their electronic counting. This thing looked secure, it looked accurate, everything was on the up and up all the way through, and I remember that from last year. I was very impressed with the system. I wish there was a hand counting if there was a discrepancy that came up personally, but I have no problem with what I saw with the electronic voting, the count. Not the electronic voting, but the count of the ballots.
Okay, we'll move on to the vouchers.
Oh, supply.
Okay, so on the minutes, I looked at, or I watched the video, and Vera moved to approve the consent agenda, and Garrett approved, or seconded it. So I have now moved that, and I spelled dust wrong, so I changed dist to dust. So just so you guys know, I caught that when I was reading that.
Thank you.
So now.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
I have a motion, it's been properly seconded to approve the, June 18th, 2014 minutes.
Did that have a spark?
I can't put that in
That was a
the
SHSSSPHH.
How do you spell that?
Oh, no.
Call for the vote. Yep, all those in favor, or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?